Brian from Destin, Florida. After watching that Rose Bowl splattering, how can anyone think Kalen DeBoer is getting Alabama back to where Saban had it? Well, I don't know, Brian. I don't know how anyone could expect Kalen DeBoer to get Alabama back to where Nick Saban had it, because he's not going to. I would say it's a waste of time to think that he was. I would say it's a waste of time for Kalen DeBoer to focus on getting Alabama back to where Nick Saban was, because I would suggest to you that had Nick Saban stuck around at Alabama, he wasn't getting Alabama back to where Nick Saban had it a decade prior. And that's Nick literal Saban. I don't think Kirby Smart's getting Georgia back to what Georgia was a few years ago. Dabo's not going to get Clemson back to what Clemson was. It's almost like the entire world has changed. So that's going to be called excuse making. It's not. I got a ton of criticism for Alabama, and I will dole it out in just a moment. Mario Cristobal is the one you guys need to listen to on this. Mario Cristobal, I remember being down there for like spring practice 3 years ago, and I was sitting in his office, and someone had asked him for the umpteenth time about getting the U back. When are you going to get the U back? And he answered the question diplomatically. And then when he wasn't on camera, I didn't ask him. Someone asked him. And when he wasn't on camera, he just let loose. And he said, I'm so tired of people asking me, when is the U going to be back? And he looked at me dead in the eye and said, the U is never going to be back. Because they're asking for something to reemerge that's impossible to reemerge. That was another generation. That was another time in college football that's come and gone. It's impossible to replicate what we did here in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm not focused on bringing the U back. I'm focused on building what the U will be. That's what he said. And then 3 years later, wouldn't you know it, they're playing for a shot at the national championship later this week. That is exactly how Kalen DeBoer should be thinking at Alabama. It's not, how do we get Bama back to the way Saban had it? You're not going to. So you can waste your time. You can have all the expectations in the world. You could pay a guy $10 million, $15 million. You could pay him $15 billion. They're not going to be what Saban was. Saban could leave the game day set, come back to Tuscaloosa, and he would never in a million years recreate what he created. They'd be good, but they wouldn't be insurmountably deep. Their twos wouldn't be better than your ones, because their twos would be playing for you, because that's how college football works now. So, having said that, I think Alabama will be fine under Kalen DeBoer. I haven't changed my mind on that. Maybe some people have. That's fine. Certainly, after a 38-3 drubbing in a playoff game, that's the time to change your mind, or that's the time that you would expect people to change their mind. So, I think Alabama will be fine. I'm basing all that on expecting Kalen DeBoer to address what are major, glaring, obvious issues. I do storm chasing a lot. So in storm chasing, we have something called STP. We have significant tornado parameters. And you need a certain combination of those things to be in place. And there's a very, very fine line between having a big tornado outbreak and just nothing happens that day. It's a total bust from a forecasting perspective. And when the day is a total bust, you can get fooled into thinking, oh, those forecasters have no clue what they're talking about. No, they do. It's just a very fine line, and they're very, very volatile ingredients, and you could have 4 of them in place, but then the 5th one is lacking, and the other 4 don't matter, and football teams are kind of the same way, because there's a lot of good about this Alabama team. I thought there was a lot of progress made with this Alabama team this year. But when you can't run the football, and when you lack toughness to go head-to-head with teams that are playoff caliber, those have to be non-negotiables. And that's something I fully expect him to address. And I expect him to address it twofold. Number one, top-down, questioning the mental approach that program takes. And number two, addressing staffing issues. Because I think there's some really good people in that building, and there are probably some other people that don't belong in that building. And there are no perfect staffs out there, Indiana notwithstanding at the moment, but it's up to the head man to address that. I'm basing my belief that Alabama's going to be better down the road on the concept that he will address that. I mean, I'm very, very confident that you'll see staff moves there in the not-too-distant future. And then the third thing I would ask, and this is a big problem, but it's one that you can't really answer externally, so I'm just asking it open-endedly. Anyone want to circle to me the alpha leaders on that Alabama team this year? Who would that have been? Hey, do me one favor right here. Look down. Are you subscribed to the channel? If you are, thank you. If you're not, please click subscribe. It helps us keep the show free and free of corporate interference. All right, that's it for me. Back to the clip. Who would that have been? You know him in the past, like your Jonathan Allens in the past, guys like that. Who was that on this team? Who is that out of the players who may return? Who is that? Because you guys know at Alabama or at Georgia or at Texas, any of these big-time programs, on your good teams, when I ask you that question, 2 or 3 names just rattled off. I don't know that you just rattle off names with this Alabama team. So, again, that sounds like excuse making. It's not. It's kind of doing a postmortem on the team. I thought they'd win the Rose Bowl. So certainly I swung and missed. So certainly I'm looking at that thing with a magnifying glass. But those are 3 things that I think he would address. It's just a non-negotiable. You've got to be able to run the ball. It's a non-negotiable. Anywhere, much less at Alabama. You've got to have toughness. I've seen a lot of people questioning strength and conditioning there. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm just telling you, you don't. There are 5 million layers to that and 5 million variables and moving parts. And there's some words that scientifically you've never pronounced in your life. And my point is, I think the strength and conditioning component paired with the mental component, paired with the developmental component, and then paired with the coaching component, all of those things have to work together in unison. If they're not, it doesn't matter if you have the strongest team in college football, nor does it matter if you have the fastest team in college football. They're going to get put on skates and made to look sharp and soft if they don't have the execution and the toughness and the proper development and coaching. But you can't know all of those things. So the layperson's eye turns on a game, and you watch Alabama not having punch at the line of scrimmage, and you watch them not being able to fire off the ball, offensive line. You watch them not being able to stand up against the run like you want them to, any of a number of things. And the first thing you think about is, strength and conditioning. You have no clue. You have no idea that that's the culprit there. Major lesson to be learned from Indiana. This is one more thing I'll say about them. There's a major lesson to be learned from Indiana if you're Alabama. But it's not just the execution part. It's not the toughness. It's not the balanced approach offensively. All those are givens to me. What I respect supremely about Indiana is they act like Alabama used to act, in a sense that they don't rely on external stuff for motivation. No one should. Alabama slipped into this mode. You hear them talk about it all the time. Man, I'd be around the team sometimes, like in postgame, and they'd be talking about folks doubting them, folks disrespecting them. Like, what are you talking about? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like Clemson and Dabo. Back in the day when they were first beginning their ascent, the little old Clemson thing, the stuff Dabo used to always preach, and I had a problem with it then, and I spoke out about it then, and I said, this works right now because people are doubting you. The problem is the better you get, the less they doubt you, and you've built your entire foundation on your primary fuel source being doubt. Well, when it runs out, what sustains you? And as it turns out, due to that and a number of other issues at Clemson, they didn't sustain it. And so at Alabama, I just watched them play an Indiana team, and that Indiana team actually has reason to use disrespect and doubt as fuel, because people did doubt them all year long. They don't. Listen to their leadership. Now, that guy may coach with a chip on his shoulder, but that's an entire ethos. That's an entire worldview. I can promise you Indiana didn't perform at the level they did against you because you doubted them. They performed at that level because that's the standard they work to. That's the standard they hold themselves to. And if there's one criticism that I've had with Kalen DeBoer so far at Alabama, you look at some of the losses, they've lost as big favorites. You look at some of their wins, Georgia, it's when they're an underdog. They go on the road 13 of 19, razor sharp efficiency on third down. It should just be consistent every week, or it should be a lot more consistent than it has been. And that's the lesson I take away from Indiana. All the other stuff's obvious. You need to be doing that. That goes without saying. But just the proper source of fuel, like the proper focus, is one that just focuses on a standard and couldn't care less what anyone's saying outside. You should never be at your best when people are doubting you. You should be at your best when it's Saturday and there's a game to be played. That's when you should be at your best. You should be at your best just because it's Tuesday and you've got an opportunity and God-given ability and it's there to be had. So you're going to take it. That's when you should be at your best.